Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Uncle Matt here. We are back live for one of our Friday night live streams. It's been a minute since we did one of these. I've been really busy with work stuff and just also hasn't been a fun time to talk about Nashville SC for the most part, to talk about the things that are going on in the world. But we're back. I'm here on Friday night. I figure, let's jump in, let's talk, let's chat, let's bang it up. Because Nashville SC is in a weird spot right now. It's a weird spot. We're playing host to the defending MLS Cup champion Columbus Crew this weekend, coming off the worst loss in Nashville SC history. A lot of anger, a lot of frustration amongst the supporters of Nashville SC. What do we do? How do we move forward? What's the next steps? Good time to just come on and chop it up here on the live stream and discuss what's next. So, where do we start? Where to begin? I guess the first thing I'll jump in and say right off the bat is you may notice, functionally, that you can consider this traitorism, but I am wearing a Columbus Crew jersey right now. This is the first MLS jersey I ever purchased, years upon years, and you can maybe tell by how tight it fits me. This is the first MLS jersey I ever purchased because it is the jersey of my all-time favorite player, Frankie Hayduk. Many years before Nashville SC was a twinkle in anybody's eye, I was a fan of Frankie Hayduk, and he went to Columbus Crew, and I was going up to Columbus to watch the USA-Mexico games that we always played up there. I've been to 3 or 4 of those Dos Aceros, and it just made sense to me at that point in time. I was like, I love Frankie Hayduk. I love going to Columbus to watch these Dos Aceros. I bought a Crew jersey. I bought a Hayduk jersey. It's only fitting now that Columbus Crew is champions and Nashville SC are aspiring to be there. But I do feel like, the Crew, it's funny because we're the gold team. Our stadium looks very similar. It's weird how similar we are to them, but they are the model we should follow, because we're never going to attract a top level European star like Messi, Ibrahimovic. Nobody like that's going to come play soccer in Nashville. We have to follow the Crew method of find these top level South American players mixed in with our domestic players, good coaching, win that way. Every time we play the Crew, I'm like, the Crew and Atlanta United are the two teams. I'm like, these are the models. These are the models Nashville SC should be following. These teams we should be trying to emulate, for better or worse. But they're coming to town this weekend. I do think it's a good time for us to be playing them. They're still in CONCACAF Champions Cup. They've got a lot of injuries, just like we do. They may be heavily rotating. And I think the weird thing about this season has been it feels like such a down, drab season, but it was the first time we lost last week in MLS play was to Galaxy or to LAFC last week. That was our first loss of the season. And it was a terrible loss. It was the worst loss in franchise history. 5-0, just absolutely got throttled, just absolutely got demolished. But it was just, I think the more I look at it, the more I think the matchup was just terrible. It's Galaxy with Boinga, the way they want to attack just did not match up well with the way we want to play. And especially with so many injuries, so many players missing, it's just a bad matchup. I'm willing to throw that one under the bus. I did tweet out during the match after the 5th goal. I did tweet out, full transparency, full honesty here. I tweeted out, Gary out. I am not Gary out. That was an emotional moment. Terrible match, terrible experience. I'm willing to give Gary the benefit of the doubt. I'm willing to give him a little bit more time, because I think the injuries, the schedule congestion is a lot that has to be considered. but I am getting close. I am getting close. But the LAFC match, I was more like that result to me was more like I put that more on the personnel than I put it on the coaching. Because like I hate Brian Anunga. I've hated him for a long time. He had a couple decent performances recently, so he got the start there. But I mean, he had to start because Godoy was gone, and Sean Davis has been atrocious. I mean, let's acknowledge that Sean Davis has been atrocious. So you only have so many players to choose from. But Anunga just could not complete a pass. Could not. Just the disconnect we have right now. We can't get the ball from defense to midfield. We're having to skip midfield. We're having to go long balls. It's terrible. And I think letting Dax go, I talked about it at the time. I said, like, it makes sense on paper. He's an older player. He's a veteran player. Like, you're not going, you don't want to tie up money in a veteran like that. But there had to be a plan to replace what he was able to do because he's the only player who can like progressively pass from midfield to defense. He's the only player that can connect those two areas. Godoy can do it to a certain extent, but he was gone. He was on international duty with Panama, but even him, he's more of a recycler than a line breaking passer. I think there was some hope that Drew Yearwood could do that, and I think he can do it to a certain extent. But when he's paired with a Nunga who can't do anything except like Anunga can break up play. He's a great defensive midfielder, but like in the modern game where you need your midfielders to be able to pass the ball, he's a nightmare. Taylor Washington as well. Like, God, you don't want to ever criticize Taylor Washington. He's such a great guy. He's a community man. He's out there doing all things in the community, but it's like he was a disaster in this match. And there was criticism of like, why is he getting picked over Lovitz? Lovitz came in the season with an injury, so I think maybe there's a degree to which Gary's like saying like, let's protect our injured players. It's a long season. MLS season is crazy long, so like maybe we're protecting our players to a certain extent and saying like, hey Dan, this is not a match you need to start. Get yourself to full fitness. We'll bring you in eventually. But Taylor Washington was a nightmare. He was a disaster in that match. Love him as a person. Love him as a human being. Love him as a man. He was not great in the match against LAFC. But I mean, like, I think it's weird. It's a weird season. It's a weird season because the CONCACAF Champions Cup complicates the way we've been playing. The injuries are certainly a catastrophe. Like, there was a lot of talk in the offseason, like, should we like maybe think about buying Walker Zimmerman down? Should he not be a designated player anymore? And I think we're seeing how important he is, how crucial he is, and why he is a designated player, because like our defense is in shambles without him. And that is, if there is one thing that makes me start to shift into the Gary out category, it's the fact is that the one thing Gary could always hang his hat on is that he could set teams up well to defend. We've been one of the best defensive teams in MLS since we got in here. Like, for all our struggles in attack, for not being able to find anybody who can score than Hani Mukhtar, we've always been one of the better defensive teams in the league, and that has not been the case this season. We blew 2 goal leads twice. We got just dominated by LAFC, lost 5-0. And Walker being out is a key part of that. But I mean, the people who were not Gary out hung their hats on, myself, there's a clear way of playing. There's a clear strategy of play. Defense first, protect the goal, protect the goals, and find ways to score otherwise. The fact that the defense has completely collapsed, the fact that the protecting the goal has completely collapsed is troubling. Certainly, obviously, but I mean, like, you can chalk that up to Walker not being there. I mean, like, Walker is the ultimate stabilizer. He's the ultimate, like, you can clearly see the difference when Walker's playing and when he's not. And like, in the last match against LAFC, Walker out, McNaughton out. Brett Kalman, everybody loved it. Everybody's had a fun time being like, oh, let's sign Dad. Let's sign Dad. Brett Kalman, let's sign Dad. It's like, there's a reason nobody wanted him at a certain point in time. Minnesota, who he's been with for like 20 years, there's a reason they were like happy to like let him go and be like, yeah, it's fine. We're good to go there. And he played good. No shame to him. He played well, but I mean, like, it is what it is. I think the biggest problem, I think everybody's identified this is not speaking out of turn. The midfield for Nashville SC is just a mess. Like, there's good players, but there's no the right complement of players. They don't fit together well. Like, Brian Onunga in a certain situation would be a great player. Sean Davis. I love Sean Davis his first season here. He was great his first season here when it was like Godoy, him, and McCarty together. It was great. It was great. Godoy was kind of sweeping up. Sean Davis was kind of recycling. McCarty could be the one who was like kind of springing the passes, finding the breaking line passes. It was perfect. But once Dax kind of fell out of favor, once Dax is left, Davis is just like waste of space. Like, he's just the fifth goal from LA Galaxy. Just watch it. Just watch the fifth goal from LA Galaxy. Not Galaxy, LAFC. Davis is tracking him. He's with his man. He's with him the whole way. He's like, this is my man. This is my man. And then at a certain point in time, he just randomly decides, like, I'm not going to go with this guy anymore. He just lets him go. And that guy scores the fifth goal. It's the last goal of the game. It's like such a inconsequential thing, but it's like, this is why you're not on the pitch. This is why you're like being dropped. It's frustrating. Because it's so clear that like we're close to being a very good team, but we just need that guy in midfield that can like lock things down, but also can make passes. This is easier said than done. If that player was out there, I'm sure they would have found it. It's frustrating. It's frustrating because like I like Sean Davis. Like the first season he was here, I was like, this dude is legit. I thought he was a guy that could help us out, could do things, but now he just seems like he didn't fit anymore. Like the way we're playing now, he doesn't fit. But nobody really does. Like that's the biggest problem. Is like the midfield is a disaster. We got like Anunga, who's just like a run all over the place, do everything you want. We got Godoy, who is like probably our best midfielder, but he's not picking up passes. He's not like a great defensive cover guy. He's just kind of like one of those hovering around guys who can win the ball if he has to and then move the ball if he needs to. We needed to really sign a top level central midfielder, and we didn't do it. And maybe that's our big summer move. Nashville SC always tends to do their big moves in the summer more so than in the winter. So, who knows? Maybe that'll be what we do. I don't know. It seems rough. Whole team seems rough. Everything seems rough right now. I mean, a lot of people have pointed out, and rightly so, that our four highest paid players, your highest paid players are the guys you should expect to give you the most, are Randall Leal, Walker Zimmerman, Sam Sturridge, and Hani Mukhtar. And that group of four has played together like maybe never. I don't know that we've ever had all four of those guys on the pitch at the same time. We definitely have not had many combinations of those three together. Leal's the biggest problem. That's the thing. It's like I will give Gary the benefit of the doubt. I will not, fully go Gary out at this point in time. Even though I tweeted Gary out, is that there's so many injuries, there's so many issues, keeps us from being able to be at full strength, our full potential. I'll lay off because, I'm like, Surridge has been on fire. Like, I think he's got 3 goals in 5 appearances this season. Hani, that's my biggest concern is that, like, Hani's, he went into the tank last year and it was like, well, maybe he was distracted by like the Qatari bids for his services. Well, he got a new contract. He's been signed up. That's all off the table. And he's still kind of like a ghost in these matches, like against LAFC, like the first half. Like he was just not present. There was just he just disappeared. Like he's got to get involved more. He's got to be more present. I don't know. Like our whole thing for years was we have to get a secondary goal scorer from Hani Mukhtar. And Sam Sturridge is just starting to hit that, but like, I mean, Hani Mukhtar is falling off the cliff now. It's like we finally have a secondary goal scorer. We finally have somebody like doing stuff. But now Mukhtar is like not good doing stuff. MLS is crazy. We got Richard in the chat. Hi, Uncle Mad. Richard, dude. Toronto. It's finally coming together. Was the Bradley family just always bringing you all down? That has to be what happened because, like, all the same players are up there. Toronto was supposed to be the worst team in the league, and now they're just killing people. The 2 Italian boys are playing, like, outside their minds. Bob Bradley, Michael Bradley, we're just hanging that team down. Oh, he says Insigne out 6 weeks. Oh, I hadn't seen that yet. That's rough. That is not good. Certainly not good. But I mean, like, you got to admit, like, it's crazy how Insigne, Bernadeschi, clearly they were 2 talented players. But for whatever reason, like, they just did not want to play for Bob Bradley. Maybe Michael Bradley is their captain. They were like, yeah, we don't like this guy either. But now they've been really good. Like, Toronto's been one of the best teams in the league so far. Sox City's out for 6 weeks now, but like, so one of the crazy things about this season for MLS is like, there's been a lot of like teams that everybody thought was going to be crap. They're really good, like DC United, Toronto, and Orlando is at the bottom of the table. They're like being terrible. It's a weird season. The CONCACAF Champions Cup obviously complicates a lot of stuff, but who knows? Yeah, Richard said, I can't believe it's the same team. They hated the Bradleys. I mean, that's the only thing that makes any sense. Like same players. There's not that much transition there. Like they've got the same dudes there, but like for whatever reason, like Michael Bradley's gone, Bob Bradley's gone. and suddenly Bernadeschi and Insigne are playing like two top tier players. Let's see. It's weird. It is a weird thing, but it definitely seems like the Bradley family's hold on TFC was holding them back, and that's not, I'm a huge fan of the Bradleys. You know, I've been shaving my head for a while, and the first time I shaved my head was because Michael Bradley, Dos Lucero, 2011. I don't know. It was one of the Dos Luceros that we had in Columbus where Michael Bradley showed up with a just clean shaven head, bossed the game against Mexico, and we won Dos Lucero. And I was like, I like that Michael Bradley dude. I'm gonna shave my head, and I've shaved my head, and I've been shaving my head ever since. So I've always been a fan. For that reason, I like I said, I've been a fan of the Bradley family. Obviously, it didn't work in Toronto. I don't know why. Don't know why it did not work for Toronto. Any chance you want to return the Maritime Messi back to us in Canada? I mean, no. I mean, like, he has become like a key guy for us. It's crazy how like that keeps happening, where everybody we've taken from Toronto has been like a key player for us, like McNaughton, but obviously Schaffelberger, like he's like huge now. Like there's like people talking this past week about him going to like Europe, and I'm like, what? I'm like, yeah, I want our players to go. I'm not, I want our players to have the best success. Like I'm not gonna like shame any player for leaving Nashville SC to go to Europe and having big success. Like Schaffelberg's young enough; he's got a lot of game in front of him, but it's kind of crazy, like how like he was shipped out of Toronto. Like Toronto just like was like, we don't have a spot for you. Yeah, Bob Bradley gave him to you for nothing. I mean, pretty much. I mean, pretty much. I think he was the way I understood it at the time, it was like he was one that they had to ship out to make room for the Bernadeschi's, like the Insignes, like there's because nobody knows how MLS roster rules work. Like they were able to like ship him off to like, and that would open up some stuff for him. It was like it wasn't that Toronto didn't want Schaffelberg. They just like it opened up roster space or cap space in some way that was more beneficial to them than thinking they could keep him. Like I think that's how I remember it. I don't know, man. MLS roster rules are insane. Who knows? But all right, so Nashville SC Columbus Crew. I'm wearing a Columbus Crew jersey. Like I said, Frank Hudick, he's my favorite player of all time. If you haven't seen it already, he's my all-time favorite player. I was a Frankie hated guy before Nashville SC was even in existence. So I so hard to say what to think about this match. I mean, Columbus, they're the defending MLS Cup champions. They by far and away are the best team in the league. I mean, they got these dudes, Cucho, Darlington Nagby, like this elite players, just top level players. But they have CONCACAF Champions League still going on. This is like the great equalizer. It's one of the things that I think is screwed up the Nashville SC season. Is like it's this cool tournament. It's this great opportunity. Everybody wants to be a part of it. Everybody wants to be in it. But it's like it screws up your league competition as long as you're in it. So I would not be surprised if they don't rotate heavily. If they're not playing a lot of backups, if they're not playing a lot of reserve players. But at the same time, I don't know how it's a really weird position for Nashville SC right now because like back the manager. You gotta back the manager. That's what they say. Gotta see it through. Gotta see it through. I want to highlight this. Richard says, I really like Columbus head coach Nancy. He's a great coach. Montreal, like he brought Montreal to being like one of the top teams in MLS. Jumped over to Columbus, won MLS Cup. This is a great point. This is a great point, and this also factors into why my Nashville SC might have a chance. Is that there's been rumblings that Wilfred Nancy, Columbus's coach, is in the mix for jobs in Europe. Tom Bogert has reported it. Our main guy from the Croc Block, Travis FC, has apparently reported it that Southampton was looking at him. I mean, Wilfred Nancy, he's apparently like getting felt up. That's not the right way to say it. Not felt up. Sounded out. I think that's what I want to say. He's been sounded out. He's been European clubs are looking at him as a potential manager, and like, you know, that can only help Nashville SC is if he's looking across the pond, if his players know he's looking across the pond, if they're resting players, you know, for the CONCACAF Champions League matches, it can only benefit us all. But at the end of the day, I really think we're in a tough spot, like for Nashville SC. Like I really have a hard time seeing us winning this match. I mean, like everything Gary Smith wants to do has just been unraveled because the defense has been such a disaster. And like that's his bread and butter. Like that's what he wants to do. He wants to play defense. He wants to set up in a defensive way and see what happens. No Walker. Yeah, I'm in my Crew jersey, apparently. I keep forgetting that I'm wearing a Crew jersey. But yeah, it's gonna be a tough one for Nashville SC to win this one, just because like I like what we've seen. It's a weird point in time. Like I feel like I'm rambling at this point in time, but we're starting to see what we wanted with Sam Surridge. We're starting to get that like designated player, number 9 striker stuff that we wanted from him. But at the same time, like Hani Mukhtar is like gone off the cliff and stopped scoring too. So it's like everything we always needed was like we needed a striker and Hani Mukhtar. But now Hani Mukhtar's not scoring it. But now our striker is scoring. It's a disaster. But the great thing is, it's very early in the season. MLS season is so long that like it doesn't really almost matter what happens right now. Like the top like 15 teams make the playoffs. Who cares? But you want to win your matches. You want to win your games. That's the end of the day. Hey. All right. I'm gonna wrap this up. I think I've rambled enough for tonight. I will be at Nashville SC match tomorrow night. There'll be a vlog. I'll do a vlog from that. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn the bell on for notifications so you never miss anything. Don't ever miss anything. Columbus Crew. I am wearing their jersey right now, but I do not support them. Once again, Frankie Hayden, he's my favorite player of all time. Like that's why this is on me here. Hopefully the boys in gold can get a result against that other team that wears gold. They stole gold from us. I mean, like, everybody knows that. Does everybody know that? Do y'all know that? Columbus was like silver or something like that before, and then we came in and they were like, no, we're gold now. I don't know. Excuse me. All right. Game day vlog coming tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Appreciate everybody for jumping in the stream who did. We'll see you tomorrow. Subscribe. Turn the bell on for notifications. Don't miss anything ever. Wow.